Hey all, thanks for joining me on this week's episode of the Shut Up Get Up podcast. I'm your host, Mike Muldoon. And today we're going to talk a little bit about social media. Now, there is no doubt that social media has had an incredible impact on our lives. Some might even argue it's altered the course of humanity, from the way we interact with each other. It's opened up our knowledge and availability to the world. Financially, it's made millionaires and billionaires overnight. Well, maybe not overnight, but you know what I mean, right? However, for many, it's just become their breeding ground for self-worth. Millions of people are judging their worth by just comments and likes from posts and images put forth. And well, for many others, it's become a dumping ground in search of self-pity to build their self-worth. Rise of a global pandemic a few years ago, right? With this forced isolation, social media engagement became a lifeline to the outside world, right? Families, friends, coworkers. Social media was so important to keep us in contact and connected to the world. But rest assured, social media is not just about connection. It's also about attention. Whether it's a well-crafted headline by a news organization or a corporation to use your click to monetize, or that tweet with those critical overtones to drum up some sort of controversy, social media is about attention. And from the moment we were able to share on social media platforms, going back in the day from MySpace and Friendster to eventually Facebook and every other social media outlet today, from its inception, social media has given rise to this incessant need for attention for many, to be validated in ways by the masses. Many times people are just going out of their way, creating these false narratives around their lives, just looking for attention. Now, in all honesty, as human beings, seeking attention is normal. We need to, as I like to say, we are all in this together. We need to connect. Seeking attention isn't a bad thing, right? But, however, when it comes to social media, attention grabbing, so to speak, it can be basically pared down into like three forms. The first one is, I bake cookies, have a look. With a nice picture of cookies. Hey, I like cookies. People want to show their food. The second is more about just that share, but that share can kind of run the gamut. Like recently I did this. I took the kids to Disney World, my wife and I. We had a great time. We shared a picture. Hey, it was a blast. Had a good time at Disney World. It was fun. Nothing really much to it. Kind of just a basic share with the world, to my family, to my friends, to anybody else who I'm friends with on those platforms. But then for others, people like to share, but it comes off more as look at my glamorous and incredible life and all these amazing things I do. So, the share kind of runs a gamut there. And lastly, what it's really given rise to is the sympathy seeker. And for today, what we're really going to just do is we're just going to focus on number 3, the sympathy seeker. We're all pretty well versed on people who have to, show you every picture, everything they eat. Every time they sit down at dinner, look at my dinner, look at my food, look at this lunch, look at this great salad, look at what I'm eating, and it's great. It also makes me hungry a lot of times. And though there could be an argument made that number 2, glamorizing one's life is sometimes masking an incredible insecurity, we're just going to stick with number 3 on this one, okay? So here it is. We are human. We have ups, we have downs. We have good days and bad days. And with the inception of social media, it's just given a global platform for people to attract attention to themselves. And again, nothing wrong with attention. Hey, I got a new job. It's like, yes, high five. Hey, there's a new family member here. Yes, new baby, new brother-in-law, sister-in-law, somebody got married. This is amazing. I got a promotion. I lost a job. I'm looking for a new job. Whatever it is. There's things like that are great. And it's great to get attention. There's so many positive things to do there. But on the flip side, there's also this other rise of this, massive seeking to be acknowledged through constant sympathy. And it's funny because this has actually been cleverly coined as sad fishing. So these sympathy seekers, or, they sadfish by inundating their feed with their drama, ranting on some facet of their lives, or tossing out some vague, I just wish it would stop, or some "y'all just need to pray for me" in some veiled attempt to get others concerned about them, to basically provide sympathy. Now, this is kind of a delicate thing to be talking about, okay? Now, before we go any further, I just want to touch on if you do see posts like this, and you don't see them all the time from this person, you shouldn't 100% dismiss it, because you never really know if someone's in distress for real. But I would advise that you reach out privately. Pick up the phone, message them privately, be empathetic, show compassion. Like, hey man, you're right, I just saw this post. Is everything cool? What's going on? You need any help? Don't be sympathetic with like just putting a comment there like, hey girl, prayers for you. Which that's only going to perpetuate this whole like poor me phenomenon. And it's just going to continue this cycle of sad fishing. So again, if you see this and it's not normal from who you're seeing it from, then, definitely you want to reach out, but do it more with empathy, not so much, sympathy. Okay. Now, but the people I'm talking about and talking to here, you know who you are, they are, right? They suffer from a new tragedy several times a week, sometimes a day, splashing their feeds with all of their drama, headache, airing out all their dirty laundry, and boy, do some people really air it out. While secretly just looking forward to every comment or like, because somewhere in their lives, they learned that sympathy was the best way to get the attention they desired. Somewhere in their life, these behavior patterns were wired. If I'm sad or suffering, others will give me attention. They will feel bad for me. Poor me. But unfortunately, until someone who relies on this form of behavior acknowledges it and works to break this pattern, they're never going to move forward. You'll never move forward. See, though, they want everyone who sees their sad cries, their every motivational quote that they put out there that, come on, let's be honest, is usually indirectly pointed at someone on their feed that still has power over them, i.e. the ex-boyfriend, the ex-girlfriend, to feel sad for them. But people like this will continually find themselves in this endless circle of, here's my sadness, please give me attention. This great book I read a few years ago was written by this woman called Martha Stout, and it was called The Sociopath Next Door. It's a really interesting book. I'd highly recommend you read it. And most of the time we think sociopath, we think killer, somebody running after you, trying to murder everybody. It's not. A lot of it just comes down to personality types. And she talks about people using sympathy as a way to manipulate others, and manipulating others is a sociopathic tendency. Now, I don't mean sociopath again, like, running at you with a butcher knife, but they will try to slice into your life by asking you to abandon your issues, your concerns, your challenges, your problems for theirs. And the hard truth to any sad fishers out there, and if you're one of these people doing it, is that most people who show concern after posts such as, hey, I'm just having a really bad day, and, somebody might say, oh, hope it gets better. Keep your chin up. You usually forget that you even had a problem one scroll down later. It goes back to one of my favorite quotes. It's like Lou Holt said, and I'll share this quote often. Don't tell people your problems. 80% don't care. 20% are glad they're yours. And why is that? Because people are dealing with their own problems. People don't have time to take on other people's problems. And the only reason they're even taking the time to acknowledge the daily tragedy that a lot of these human beings have is because I believe that most human beings are hardwired to be good people and feel compelled to do it to feel that they are good people. But in actuality, unless this tragedy suffered as some great loss, and there's not one every day, no one really cares about these petty attempts to nurture the whole poor me. Listen, it doesn't mean you can never share your pain with the world. I mean, I see this. I have family. I've got people in real pain. A few times a year, I have my aunt. She celebrates her son and his wife. And they both passed away tragically. And it's beautiful. And it's simply about remembering two souls who coincidentally left behind two other beautiful souls and their children. All right? But it's not every day. She's not sad fishing for attention, though the event that transpired was national news and it was a big thing. But she's not doing it for attention. She's just doing it as a remembrance. It's just a sharing, because realistically, the other 98% of the time, it's fun pictures of the two young and amazing little ladies she and my uncle have been left to attend to. It's a remembrance. Same thing with my childhood best friend. His sister once a year celebrates her brother who, was my best friend. He passed away. The rest is just life. And ironically enough, while I was working on putting this podcast together, I read from a high school friend was recently just diagnosed with Parkinson's. He shared it on social media. And believe me, it wasn't, it was probably easier just to, hey, throw it out there instead of having to pick up the phone and call 100 different people. And it wasn't a sad fish. If anything, it was more inspiring. He's like, hey, this is what I found out, and watch me kick its ass. It's pretty powerful. He wasn't looking for any, attention on it. It's like, hey, this is what's going on, but you know what? I'm going to fight. This is what I got going on. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm heading. This is what I'm working on. It's inspiring. So what I'm saying here is that it's okay to share your pain with the world through social media. It's sometimes the easiest way to let everyone know, right? Instead of, again, having to call everyone. It's okay to bring attention to your grief or joy and remembrance. Again, we're human. But if you're someone who every day has a tragedy, oh, my stupid boss, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my issue with this, my issue with that, the newspaper guy I bring, the pizza guy left my pizza on there, blah, 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 this, blah, my baby daddy wouldn't do this, my baby mama won't do this. You get the point. Every day, the only way they connect is by some sort of sympathy seek or some sort of drama. If you're these people, just stop. Just stop. So now you're thinking, gosh, Mike, you're right. I'm looking at my social media today. I say, why do people do this? I would never do that. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of reasons and causes that, seek people to, seek out the sympathy. Sometimes it's just basically low self-esteem. But sometimes it's more of a deeply rooted problem that require more of a therapy component, especially if you're dealing with someone who might be more along the lines of what they call like a cluster B personality disorder. A lot of this is characterized by dramatic or overly emotional, unpredicting thinking or behavior. Antisocial personality disorder is one, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. So several personality disorders can actually be one of the culprits by why people are doing this. But a lot of times, it really just comes down to self-esteem. So here goes. If you are someone who is doing this, and you know you are, stop. And you're probably already drafting a post about me on this topic. Just stop now. If you want real attention from people, you have to rise above this type of behavior. Get the help you need. Become the person you want to be. Live the life you want with a sense of purpose, and you will enrich your soul so much that you can shut down your social media platforms for good, and the connections you crave, you will find. People who live with a sense of purpose draw people towards them. They don't need to manipulate them to come to them. And again, if the issue is low self-esteem, the power to combat low self-esteem really is about to shut up, get up. Shut up the negative self-talk, the voices from the past, the overly critical ones that have been dominating your life. Rise up against the voice and talk more positively to yourself. Appreciate yourself for what you have to offer and stop comparing yourself to others or trying to live up to others' expectations. I've quoted Marianne Williamson in the past, and I will probably continually quote her because she's got some of the best. She once said, whatever worked for you in the past, build on it. Whatever didn't work for you in the past, break the chains that bind you to it. Get up.